So once there is a flood or water disaster, this area will be submerged into the water. So the people here often suffer from the flood and water disaster. Behind me are large area of vegetation. Beside me is a building. And here are the Kerala language. This is a local authoritative building. It is actually an office of the local government, and now it's a disaster relief center. And you can see the first floor now is changed to a kitchen because food is the most important thing. And we can see here are the kitchenware. These are local food. And this is the green bean soup. Due to the time difference, they've just finished the breakfast because there are 2.5 hours time difference from China. And there are about 5 to 6 women cooking here. You can see these are the materials like the bean, melon, bread, and vegetables. After the water disaster, the most needed thing is food. So in order to offer sufficient food and clean food, as we all know, after the disaster, there will be love and welfare. And in order to avoid the sickness and illness, we need to pay attention to the sanity. They cook for about 200 persons here, so it is very tough. And you see the water is boiling. This is kanji, the main food, made of rice. As we mentioned that, speaking of India, you may think of New Delhi, Mumbai, but people may not be familiar with southern India. Kerala is actually very typical. They name themselves the land of the god because there are abundant land and soil, and it faces the sea. So people have rich natural resources here. They live a very high level of life, and the life quality here ranks very top in India. And usually the government actually did their responsibility, but this time because of the natural disaster, because of the torrential rain, and as India has its monsoon climate characteristic, so every year there are several months witnessing a monsoon in India. So in monsoon season, there will be torrential rain. And in the drought season, there will be drought disaster. So these are all because of the monsoon climate characteristic. And this year, because of the southwest monsoon climate, there are more rain. Now please follow our camera. Today, the government sent a small medical team with a few doctors, and they are doing the physical check for the disastrous house and families, like to check whether they have skin diseases or if they catch cold. That's why we choose to conduct our live stream now, because we will see how the local government will conduct the medical and rescue relief so as to avoid diseases. And we can see these primary school students. They are also suffered from the flood disaster. Many of their houses are washed away. So these times, physical test will also include them, and to check whether they have a fever or not, and to send them some medicine.
No, we came from a school.
Okay, I know. So, if this flood, your home have any damage?
No, my home is far away from here. Here, rivers are close, so here there are more damage than ours.
Okay. Do you have any schoolmate who are stay here, the family?
Not so much. They're all far away.
So you come here for body checkup. Okay, thank you. 刚才跟那个小姑娘聊了一下啊，他们说这个
Just now I talked with the small girl, and she introduced there are various students here. Some of them live close by, some of them live far away. I see it is rare to see a team of doctors here, so people come here to receive the test like the pressure of the blood and the heart beating rate.
We walk slowly to the main street, okay? 大家看到我右手这个房子呀 ，we
on my right hand side.
I walk ahead. You follow. Be careful. This is raindrops. So all medicines? Yeah. Is this all medicine, huh? What is this? Ah, okay. This. Okay, step foot. 因为这个是救助中心，所以这里有一个车。
Because here is the disaster relief center, here is a small vehicle, and these are rice and wheat. These are donated by various parties from the society. And now we can also see policemen at the scene.
Mr. Shelley, 没啊。 现在我旁边这位 Mr. Shelley 呢，他是这个
Beside me is Mr. Shelley. He's the director for this disaster relief center, so he must be very busy. He needs to take care of everything, so we can conduct a brief interview.
Okay, now this camp is shifted from Government High School, Padalam, to the Kudumbasri unit. Today. Now 127 people are in the camp. Most of them are migrated peoples, Malayalis from Tamil Nadu and Hindi. They are well cooperated with us. There is no law and order problem. Nowadays, so many people give food, medicine, and such other things, napkins, such other things. We are very thankful to all of them. Now, the students and teachers from Mary Mother School from Ernakulam town, we are very thankful to them to give rice and puzzles like that. Maybe around one week we are join work here. We are doing this camp. Kerala Fire Force, KCB, Police, Revenue Department, Health Department. Today we are conducting Ayurveda medical camp, and the medicine is given by World Malayalis organization. We are very, 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 very thankful to that Malayali organization.
Okay, thank you very much. 非常感谢马丽先生刚才跟我说啊，说刚刚过去的一周是一个非常。
He just introduced to us that the past week was a very tiring week because non-stop there were disastrous families and people came here. He sincerely thanked all the people who donated the medicine and the food, because some of the food are from the civil society and some big enterprises. And he also thanked the volunteers, the young volunteers. So we can see when there is disaster, if people unite, there will be the warm world. Behind me is the great building. It used to be the Women Activity Center, and now CGTN. I'm the journalist Chen Wei, and now I'm at Karana, the southwest India. Why we are doing this live stream here? Because over the past days, the flood and the mountain torrents has deprived more than 30 people's lives. Because here is the disastrous area. The signal is very poor, so just now we did some adjustment, and now we are back. You can see we changed our microphone in order to stabilize our voice. And you can see behind me are crowds of people. Just now introduced this great building. It used to be the Women Activity Center in Karana, and because of the water disaster, this building is used as the disaster relief center. And there are about 170 people settled here, and they are supplied with clothes, water, medicine, and food. Behind us is a team of doctors who traveled from other towns, and they are sending out the medicine and doing the body check for the people here. So it's very crowded. And now let's follow our camera and we go to visit some flooded houses. And now the team here is sending out the medicine. We did a brief interview with the director here because he's been busy working over the past week because he needs to be responsible for the food, for water and medicine. Aruna is the center of Karana, and it is very close to the largest river here. So once there is flood, here will be the disastrous place. And this time, due to the torrential rain, the disaster is unprecedented. So last time witnessed this huge disaster was 1924. And because of the incessant rains, the 26 reservoirs in Karana are all full and are rising above the alert level. So once the reservoir, the dam are ruined, the consequence will be more disastrous. We cannot imagine. Although local government has sent out the high alert, but some of the families had no time to escape or to move. Just now, the director also mentioned the people living in this area are relatively poor, and many of them are migrant workers. So they are mainly doing the laboring work here, and they've been staying here for long. So because of their poor condition, the structure of the houses are not very strong. So once there is flood, the houses will be ruined or washed away easily. So this disaster relief center will help them. There are about 24 families in this area, and now you can see the houses are submerged in the rainwater.
好的，能看到这个受灾情况。立起来。That's okay. Just like the several minutes, leave. Can you go with me? So 那么我想我下水，但是他们的。
I wanted to show you more clearly and step down.
是说到里面就然后这个小伙子跟我说最好不要下水里。
And this young guy told me it's better we do not step into the water because there may be the insects. But I think it doesn't matter because we want to show our audience more clearer images.
可以说是非常的凉啊，它已经现在差不多到我的膝盖了。
The water is very cold.
我们看到大家可能通过这个镜头看到地上这个地方曾经是一个街道，现在呢已经完全都被水。
And here used to be a street, a road, but now you can see it is fully submerged in water. And you can see this building. It's very simplified. And the curtains are the bags. As we know, the highest level of the flood water was this level. So many people were in panic and they fled from their houses without bringing anything. As we know, the host of this house is now at the disaster relief center. You can see here is the chair and the bed. Well, we can see it used to be submerged in the rainwater. And these are clothes. And some switches of the electricity. So we think it's very dangerous because there may be the electric attack. I see the roof is also damaged. That's because of the incessant torrential rains. So we can see this house is damaged. This is very typical. There used to be 4 to 5 family members or even more living here. And once the rain stops, this will be lower and lower. There may be leeches and other worms in the water. This is the real situation after the flood. And we can really sense the harsh running away of the families. The water is deep here. It almost reaches my knees. This flood has lasted for about 1 week. Luckily, no people in this area was dead of the flood. That's because of the timely reaction of the local people and the government. Our camera suggested that we may not go there because there may be snake. But just now we have seen the real houses damaged by the flood because we entered one house. You can see this is really shock. So during the torrential rain, the families fled from their houses. But luckily, in this area, there was no people died. But according to the news, there are 35 dead people in the flood disaster. That's mainly because of the landslide. People immediately buried in the mud.
Work or okay. 那小心的不要掉到这个水里。
Be careful.
好，那么我背后呢有其他的几户人家啊，其他的几户人家。
Behind me are other houses, and we see these houses are all empty because people have all moved to the other area.
已经搬到了这个刚才我们看到那个救助中心，救助中心离这里非常
They have moved to the disaster relief center we just saw, where it used to be the women's activity center, and now it's transformed into the disaster relief center. And we can see these hanging clothes.
或者是这样的一个
That's because they ran in a rush.
慢慢的 go slowly down。我们慢慢的回到岸上去啊，因为确实是如果再往里走的话，有很多的危险。因为
Let's go back slowly because it might be dangerous, and there are whales here, and there are snakes
那么会
and leeches.
但是我可以说管中窥豹，通过刚才我们只去了一户人家呢，就已经可以看出来。
Although we just entered one house, we can still sense that
昨
situation.
天呢，我们在有一些采访的时候呢，有一些老太太
Yesterday we did some interview.
家里
Some grandmothers were crying out because they are poor, but over one night their houses are ruined.
它的是文化非常多样化的国家那么它
India is a very diversified country.
不同的语言。
It has more than 20 states with various languages. There's not Indian language or English.
翻译给我们来进行沟通。
So yesterday we found local translators and interpreters.
善意也希望跟我们进行表达，他们说
But people were very kind, and they wanted to introduce to us about the situation.
很多各种各样的特殊天气的状况，比如
As we know,
据我所知，在英国
in the world, there are many natural disasters.
那么其实在很
Like in the UK, in Europe, there are extreme hot weather.
we can slow a little bit。那在近2周的时候呢，因为整个印度以我所
And in India,
在每年的6月到9月
in recent 2 weeks, as April to September witnesses the monsoon season in India, there were torrential rains.
已经死亡超过了770人，包括
And now, more than 770 people died of the torrential rains in India this year.
额外的险峻所以呢也受到了印度各个媒体的关注。
Karana was the most heated area in the past week.
灾害其实都牵动我们的心。那么我们跟当
But because we are living in the shared community, once there is disaster in one place in the world, people will concern about this, will be worried about this. And these disasters are all related to the global warming. Because we see some extreme cold and hot days in the world, and there are torrential rains which are not expected by the people.
的一个洪水情况，所以呢
And this time in India, this flood happens once in a century.
我所在这个奥拉地区呢，
So we need to observe more.
所以其实这个水位呢
And
下降。
in these 2 days, the rain has stopped. So the water level becomes lower and lower.
前那个地方的水实际上是没腰，这是没胸的。
Just now, we see the water level is at our knees level, but actually, days ago, it was as high as our wrist.
还有他们的孩子居住的，而男性
And now we are back at the disaster relief center.
也不方便大家的，我现在进去看一看里面的情况。
Women are in the first floor and men on the second floor.
OK，首先我们先看一下我们背后那个有个小桌子，小桌子那边有一个大夫在那坐着。
Firstly, you can take a look at the small table,
这个时候他们
and people are sitting here.
药，看看根据大家的需要，然后这
She's the doctor,
这个女大夫在给他把脉然后看看她的心跳。
and now she is checking the pulse of the disastrous people.
我估计应该是根据这个，我估计
And he's writing the transcription.
去拿药。
After this, she can take medicine from the other table area.
么现在这个就显然这位妇女正在跟这个大夫说说她的哪不舒服，然后这个大夫呢给她
And now this victim is talking with the doctor about her feelings.
有一个另外的小桌子，这边有一位男大夫在这边。
And here is another table, and there is one male doctor sitting here. He's sending out the medicine.
哦，值得一提的是这个 I voted medicine. Okay, what is that? This but this is voted as like herb medicine. 哎，值得一提的是，看中药这么多药啊，其实它其实有一点，因为印度跟中国有一点很像，印度也有自己的这个草药，它不是叫中药了，它是印度叫做阿育吠陀。
India is very similar to China in terms of the traditional medicine. They also gathered their wisdom and they use the animal or the plant materials to be the medicine. And here is a special plant medicine. It can be used to prevent the virus. And this is the semi-traditional medicine because they are made of the plants. And according to the situation and requirements, he will send out the medicine here. And let's enter the room and to visit the house, the shelter for the women and children. And we can see this is extensive. Here used to be the Women's Activity Center, and now it's transformed into a place for women and children. And we can see many women are having a rest here. Indian people respect nature a lot, so they like to sit on the ground. And there are fans here. So you can see here is a safety shelter for the women and children, even if it's raining outside. And there are some colorful packages, some bed sheets and clothes. Some of them are donated by local civil society and government. And there are roughly 10 to 20 women sitting here, and there are also some kids. And you see these are the relief equipment and food and water. This disaster relief center is a relatively large one in this area. It helps about 160 people. And there were also some smaller disaster relief centers where there were 7 to 8 families. And some of the public buildings, like the primary schools and the middle schools, are also transformed into the disaster relief center temporarily. As we can see, it's very clean here. Just now, the director told us they moved here over last night. And they stayed in high school for 1 to 2 weeks. But because the school now resumes its class, they moved here. And there were more sufficient equipment here. Behind me are two doctors. One is the female doctor who is checking the pulse for the victims and to check whether they have the skin diseases or mental sufferings. And people can get medicine from the other doctor. Dear viewers, you are now watching the live stream of CGTN. Now you can see this is a male patient. And now we are doing the live streaming at southwestern India, Kerala. Here witnessed the unprecedented flood in a century. And here is the most heated area, Aruna. We are now at the disaster relief center. Many of the family's houses were washed away over one night, so they moved here. During this torrential rain and flood disaster, there are about 400 to 500 similar disaster relief centers. They mainly locate in primary schools or the public buildings. And now you can see the female doctor now is checking the pulse of the young kid. This area is called Aruna because it has the lower latitude and it is close to the river. And people live here are many poor families. Most of them are laborers. So their houses are not very strong. Once there is flood, they will be hit. We have a very rare opportunity. You can see this is a police car because there are local police here today in order to safeguard the victims living here. And there is the health check here also. And now people are preparing the lunch. During today's live stream, we visited one victim's house also. It was very dangerous, and the local young guy also warned us of snakes and danger. We were shocked because we can see the flood can wash away a whole area over one night. The loss of this Kerala state totaled more than 83 billion rupee. That's about 8 billion RMB. So we can see people's wealth, assets, and houses are washed away by the flood. Also, the station and the bridges and roads are damaged by the landslide. And now we can see this whole state is in danger. And they also advocate local people to save themselves. The people from bigger cities or less heated areas are donating their money and food or materials here. And actually, the building of the Women's Activity Center is unfinished. Only the first floor can be used, so you can see people are still working.
Where are you from? Canada.
Okay, and we are planning to give them a support, a psychological support. Actually, we don't know what is the situation, actual situation here. Yesterday, we came here to identify what is the real need of these people, and today also we came here, and actually we are finding the real need of this, and we will come as a team tomorrow. 8 or 9 people, social workers. We have this completed social work, and we were part of the OGI disaster management in Rwanda, and we have the experience there, how the people were affected by that incident. So we are just taking that input here, how we can practice this here. So based on our canvas team, 8 or 9 social workers will come here, and we will see how we can support them by psychological or by food material. How we are seeing that. Anyway, we will come to Aura here, and if they need psychological support, we will definitely give them, especially for the student.
You just said canvas. You mean campers?
Canvas.
What a canvas mean?
Canvas means
Add colors to life. Add colors to your
Life
life.
is like a
Means canvas means we are drawing. So when we are draw the canvas with the different colors, we can make the picture.
Oh, this is the name of the group. Okay. Okay. So most of the members are college students.
Now, yes, we all are
we just
professional
passed out.
social workers.
Professional social workers. We
Oh,
just
okay.
passed out, and we are
Okay.
doing different jobs now.
Okay. But you are all professional psychologists?
Not psychology, MSW, but social workers.
Oh,
but
Master of Social Work.
we are trained in counseling. We are
Oh, okay,
trained.
great.
Okay.
Very nice. So Canvas is an organization only in Kerala or the whole
We
India?
just started. It's an initiative.
You are the founders.
Yeah, we are the founders. 9 members started this. We batchmates
Okay.
started this one, and we take training to a parents, 50 parents. We just began this. Okay, it was in 2 weeks back before.
So
we
you
conducted a class on positive parenting, and it was the first class, and it was a great success. And what we intend to do is like we will visit various schools and organizations and will identify what are their needs.
so you are from the capital of Kerala, or you're from Cochin?
Kochi.
I am from Kasaragod. My place
Okay.
is Kasaragod, but we are he's from Alua, and he's from here itself. He's here, but we are studied in the same
We
college.
studied in
Together, we
We
batchmates.
studied 2018 batch, MSW batch,
Okay.
Master of Social Work. We
Ah,
studied
okay.
in
Rajagiri
Rajagiri College of
Social
Social Science. Then after that, all of them got job. We 49 were there in our batch. Among that, all of them, except 3 or 6 did not. They are trying for the jobs. Other all almost got the job. Among that, our batch, 10 of them came out for this canvas group. We are forming new group. This is now it is a informal, not the formal group. We are not registered as a NGO.
Please allow me to translate because audience have no idea what we are talking about.
Okay, then I want to say this, what is the specialty of this thing. Okay, we are giving motivation, awareness, etc. But it's a usual thing. Many people are there to give this. But actually, we are planning this. We will screen the students, those who need the psychological support. Okay, then we will connect them with the counseling center or tele-counseling system. Then a continuous support is given to the students. We won't just leave the students after
We are
the.
just not leaving after taking some motivation classes. We'll identify children with psychosocial support who need psychosocial support, and we doing follow-ups. Like,
That's so great.
Yeah. So we'll be contacting the various tele-counseling centers and various NGOs and we'll be
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you. 非常意外的，我们碰到了这3位这个专家了，他们是来自一个叫做
We meet these 3 experts. They are from the organization named Canvas. And they come here also voluntarily.
这个是我一开始
And they offer the psychology support to local children and adults. As we all know, India is a developing country also. and there are lots of natural disasters in this country. So it is very good they have the food and water support, but there are still organizations to offer the psychology support to people here. They travel here and to see if any people need the mental support. They will assist them one-to-one. In Kerala, because of the natural disasters, there are several organizations. So, apart from the materials supported by the government, people will receive various supports like the psychology support. Yesterday we did interview and some people were crying out, so we see they have trauma in heart also. The three experts explained to me constantly because they know we are from foreign media. They hope we know about their organization. They have 9 members now. They hope more and more people can be aware of this, that after natural disasters, people need psychology support. There are 2 buildings standing here. One is on my right-hand side, which used to be the Women's Activity Center, and now it's mainly for the shelter of the women and children. On my right-hand side is the building mainly for men. And you can see people are now discussing on the lunch. Let's go upstairs. Actually, in India, most of the region are tropical area, and the tourism industry here is very booming. Although today's topic is the disaster relief, I'm sure many of the viewers know little about Kerala. Kerala actually also has history with China. It locates in the southwest of China, and it has a very large harbor city, Cochin. In history, here is a very famous harbor. There is a famous Chinese historical figure named Zheng He who set sail for many times, and he traveled to this city, Cochin, for 3 times. And now there is a way of fishing in Cochin named Chinese way of fishing. And fishermen here are still using that net made by Chinese people. And in this Kerala area, there are some ancient tombs, and there are China souvenirs and ancient materials in the tombs, so we can see the harbor has history with China. Many of the states in India lack water, but Kerala is very lucky because there are more than 40 rivers in this state. So it is a state with abundant resources and beautiful scenery. But after these times of flood, the local government warned that in daily life. Even if there is no disaster, we need to prevent, we need to prepare for that. And here is the rooftop of the building. It's temporary. And this is mainly for the men. They are taking rest here. Okay, today's live stream has lasted for 40 minutes. And we are in the disastrous area in Kerala. We went to the damaged houses. And we are now at the disaster relief center temporarily established by local government. In recent 2 days, the torrential rain has been lowered and stopped, but now it's still in monsoon season. People are offering their supports. And if there is any news, we CGTN will keep you updated. And we will inform you of the stories in every corner of the world. Some are good, some are misfortune. But here in the disaster area, people donate their efforts. We also donate our efforts so that to bring the disastrous people back to life. And we also understand that we need to cherish our life. Okay, dear viewers, that's the end of today's live streaming in Kerala. Hope you keep following us on CGTN. Thank you.